Right, I've tried my best not to talk about the pandemic for a few weeks. That's not to say that I don't think it's a serious and relevant topic, it's just that I thought everybody was getting a bit fed up of hearing about it. I certainly was. And I consider that my main job on here is to sort of entertain and inform you about nice things, bike-related things, things that we enjoy finding out about. Now, throughout the lockdowns, our main focus was getting to the end of those lockdowns, things returning back to normal. And over the last few weeks, most of us in most parts of the world have seen a gradual relaxation of the lockdown rules until we're in a position now where life's almost back to normal, but not quite. And I think the reality is we're not going to see full-blown normality for probably 18 months or 2 years. For the time being, this virus is here to stay. Now, we've all got used to queuing to get into shops, although that does seem to be subsiding somewhat with some companies. Hand sanitizer at the door, antibacterial sprays for your shopping trolley or your shopping basket. Even in some cases, members of staff at the door offering face masks. This is going to be the norm for some time to come. I know a lot of countries have already adopted this, but here in the UK from the 24th of July, you must wear a face covering whenever you're in a shop or an enclosed public area. That's the law, and if you fail to comply, you face a £100 fine. Now, up until they announced this, I've got to admit, I was sort of leaving the responsibility of these materials to other people. You know, relying on the shops to supply hand sanitizer and cleaning sprays. Relying on filling stations to supply disposable gloves when you're using the pumps. And that's wrong. It's not their responsibility. It's the responsibility of the individual to protect himself and others. Now, I actually had a different video planned for today, but as the week's gone on, I've sort of deliberated over making this video. Should I or shouldn't I? I don't want to come over as patronising. It would be nice to think that, you know, the general media has informed us all of what we need to do and how we need to act. And so there's no need to keep going over it. But over the last week or so, while I've been in shops and supermarkets and I've encountered other people, I've started to realise that there are a great number of people who quite simply are oblivious to the dangers to them and to others. And I've also been into one or two shops where there's been no hand sanitizer available, or garage forecourts where they've run out of gloves, yet there's a sign on the pump saying you must use gloves before using this pump. And I realised that if I'm ill prepared, a lot of other people are probably going to be ill prepared as well. A motorcyclist needs some sort of coronavirus kit to carry with him or her on the travels. And it needs to be small enough and compact enough to fit in a pocket or a backpack or whatever you're using. And not only that, your average motorcyclist needs to be aware of why, how and when to use these products. Now, the first thing that I want to mention before we get on to that is money. Some of us prefer to use debit cards or credit cards, some of us prefer to use cash, some of us like to use a mixture of both. Under the current circumstances, most shops and businesses prefer plastic. Paper money and coinage can change hands several times a day, dozens of times a week, hundreds of times a month, and it's a prime candidate for spreading the virus. As I've said, most shops prefer plastic. Many shops and businesses now are refusing to handle money, and I don't blame them. So by all means, carry some cash if you want to. But if you're going out for a day's ride, a long weekend, or you're even spending a week or so away on your bike, make sure that you have plastic with you. Now, yesterday I went on a bit of a spending spree in some of the local pound shops, Home Bargains and B&M. There are some products that are available now that are relevant to this pandemic that we probably didn't see in the shops today, or if they were there, I never took any notice. Things that we now need, so I filled my boots just to see what I could find that's going to be A, effective for a biker, and B, applicable and convenient for a biker. And first of all, let's tackle face coverings. Now, I know a lot of people like to wear full-faced helmets, so they probably don't use a snood, but even if you do have a full-faced lid, it might be worth getting one. Worn around your neck whenever you're riding your bike, it's easy once you take your helmet off to just pull it up over your face. The government don't recommend that you use medical grade PPE face masks. In fact, they're actively discouraging it. It's just any face covering that protects others from droplets that may be expelled from your nose or mouth. A snood is a very practical piece of biking equipment and it's eminently suited for this purpose. They're also relatively cheap and they're washable, and I would certainly recommend that you wash them on a 40-degree wash after every day's riding. Now, if you don't want to use a snood, obviously the first choice is going to be one of the many face coverings that have appeared on the market over the last few months. They are now readily available and relatively cheap, although I do think that long term a couple of snoods are going to be much easier on the pocket. Now, I'm not plugging any particular products or manufacturers here. I'm just showing you the sort of generic products that are available and what to look out for. As I've said before, I am avoiding Chinese products at the moment, certainly where PPE is concerned. It's not patriotism as such, because some of the products I'm going to show you are made in Australia and on the continent, and some are products that are made in the UK. I just want as much of my hard-earned cash as possible to go into the Western economy. Just doing my bit to aid economic recovery as much as I can. It's entirely up to you what you do. Now, I got this box of 10 disposable masks from Home Bargains for just under £3. They are British made, and a couple of these will take up no space whatsoever in your bike jacket pocket. I also got some of those little bottles of antibacterial hand gel, something that we've all become very familiar with now, and have been a common sight in shops since the SARS virus outbreak a few years ago. At the initial outbreak of this pandemic, it was suggested by officials that antibacterial hand gels were not effective in combating the coronavirus. Now, I'm not quite sure what's changed, but some of these hand gels do clearly state that they are effective against viruses. In fact, some do specify coronavirus and SARS. Whenever purchasing these type of products, look out for that on the label. Now, I've not actually heard of this brand before. It's a brand called Calypso. I believe it's Australian. And obviously these size bottles are perfect for the biker. It's a very pocketable size, and even these small bottles do last a long time, even with regular use. Now, another type of product that you should consider are these sort of handy wipes, not to be confused with hand wipes. Again, less than £1 for a pack of 15 wipes, very small, pocketable size. These are designed for multi-surface use. Now, it does strike me that people that have full-faced helmets that are carrying them around in the bare hands all day while they're at the destination do present a very real danger of transmission of this virus. When wearing a full-faced helmet, the chin bar is in very close proximity to your nose and mouth. And while you've been carrying it around for a few hours at whatever destination you went to, handling things, swapping your helmet from hand to hand, there is a very real danger of cross-contamination on the inside of your chin bar. Very probably the worst place it could be. Now, a wipe down on the inside of your chin bar with one of these before you put the helmet on could go a long way to protecting you. Also, a bike, unlike a car, is very vulnerable to people touching it. Bikes are attractive, desirable objects that do quite frequently, especially with these modern classics, attract people's attention, and people like to touch things. It is probably worth at least wiping down your hand grips and your switch gear before riding off again if your bike's been left unattended. These are the areas that people are most likely to touch, and the areas that you are without a doubt going to touch, with or without gloves. It's a 10-second precaution that could save your life. Once again, when selecting these products, make sure that they are effective against viruses. Refueling your bike, I think, is a procedure that most of us will have got used to by now. Petrol pump trigger nozzles are once again a prime candidate for cross-contamination of the virus. A simple trigger nozzle in a busy petrol station can be used by literally hundreds of people a day. Most garage forecourts do now provide disposable gloves at the pump for the public's use. But they are in demand, and I've found they frequently run out. When I get there are none left. It is very tempting to just go ahead and use them with your bare hands anyway. I've seen a lot of people do it. But having a couple of pairs of disposable gloves in your pocket or in your backpack will save you having to take that risk. There's no doubt about it, the lockdown has made a huge difference in containing this virus. But people are stupid. There are 2 households within a stone's throw of me who have completely ignored the lockdown all the way through. Seriously, they've had more visitors, friends and family than they had prior to the pandemic, because they were bored and they had time on their hands. And I'm sure a lot of people watching this video know people that are of a similar disposition. And as we all know, even the medical policymakers and government advisors and lawmakers have proven that they can't control themselves. So don't assume for 1 minute that the people that have used that pump before you have adhered to the rules. Make sure that you carry a couple of pairs of disposable gloves with you at all times, so if the dispenser at the pump is empty, you don't have to take any risks. Disposable gloves are readily available now at reasonable prices, so do yourself a big favour and get some. Now, from these simple products that I've shown you, you can put yourself together a very compact and affordable kit that will fit in your pocket or in your backpack or wherever, so that while you're out and about travelling on your bike, you're covered for every eventuality. Before I go, there was one product that did particularly strike me as being perfect for bikers. It's a British-made personal protection pack that costs £3. I actually got this from B&M. It contains 2 little bottles of antibacterial spray, 2 disposable masks and 2 pairs of disposable gloves. Now inside there's a little resealable plastic bag, so you can just pack out of this kit what you need for the day and slip it in your pocket. In my opinion, the only thing that it's missing are some antibacterial surface wipes. Other than that, it's perfect for the biker. Now, I'm not going to leave any links for products because I think wherever you are in the world, you're going to have access to this type of product, and hopefully you'll know now what products to look out for and how to go about using them. Now, I really hope this video didn't come across as patronising. I just thought it might be useful to have a look at what's available to us and how to use them. I really hope that you have found this video to be of use to you, and if you have, I would really appreciate it if you would leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you do subscribe, don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you can be informed whenever I upload a new video. That's it from me for this week. I will of course be back next week. So until then, if you're riding, please ride safely, and I'll see you soon.